Many fans of Doctor Who, Star Wars, and Star Trek are united in one cause. They want the showrunner or person in charge of each of those franchises to be gone. Star Wars fans want Kennedy gone. Star Trek fans want Kurtzman gone. And Doctor Who fans want Russell T Davies gone. Or at least a lot of them do. But what are the chances that that could actually be about to happen? And what are the chances that basically within about 12 months, those fans could get what they want? Let's look at them individually and let's have a little bit of a think. And I'm going to tell you what I think the percentage of that actually happening is. Welcome to the Tachyon Pulse podcast, part of the scitrek family.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
We'll start with Russell T Davies. Basically, there's been rumours knocking around for about 6 months that Disney are actually quite interested in signing a new contract to continue to produce Doctor Who, but with a few provisos. One thing, they really do want to push the BBC into getting the larger catalogue of Doctor Who. At the moment, they literally only have the Doctor Who they've produced on Disney+. They want all of it. Currently, a couple of different companies have those rights, including the BBC, obviously, but Disney want it. They also have apparently been pushing for somebody else to showrun, or at very least a change in direction of Doctor Who. And I have actually heard more than once from a few different sources that one of the things they have said more than once is that maybe Russell T Davies should be removed as showrunner. Now, how likely is this? Well, from what we're hearing, the contract was actually supposed to be agreed back in October for the extension of this Doctor Who deal, which allows, thanks to millions of dollars from Disney, for Disney to have the international rights for those series. Now, about 2/3 of the budget is actually paid for by Disney, and it's very, very likely that the BBC will not fork up that money if Disney pull out. So, Doctor Who really needs this money. It was supposed to be agreed in October. It actually looked like it was going to be agreed at one point, according to the people we get to speak to. It actually led to Ncuti Gatwa even talking about the third season going into production on the Graham Norton show here in the UK, even though those comments then had to be removed and cut from the show. I was then hearing that they just wanted to see how the Christmas special went because they weren't massively excited how the first season went. And now I'm hearing they actually want to see how the second season is received. The BBC have made several promises about the second season. New writers were brought in. They are trying to take the show back into... they're trying to take out some of the agenda and trying to make it a bit more like the Doctor Who we would actually recognise, or many fans would recognise. And the BBC and Bad Wolf are basically saying, look, let's just see how it goes. Look, we're going in the right direction. We promise. I think Disney are actually waiting on that, and I'm being told it's roughly about 50-50 whether Disney are going to sign a deal. But they do look like they're negotiating hard. They keep delaying the deal because they want to see where the BBC and Bad Wolf are going, and if they can fulfill some of these promises. So how likely do I think it is that RTD will actually still be the showrunner come season 3? Well, if it's roughly 50-50 on whether Disney are going to actually fork up the money, and I think it would be quite difficult for the BBC to find another partner for Doctor Who, or at very least it wouldn't be immediate. I mean, they may go to Netflix or somebody else, but the show has been tainted by the last few seasons. It might be difficult. In that case, I think it's roughly 50-50 on whether Doctor Who will even continue. I do think it could end up going on a break for maybe a couple of years or something if Disney do pull out. So straight away, it's 50-50. I actually think it's probably about 50-50 again on whether if they do sign the contract, whether RTD will be allowed to continue in his role as showrunner, or whether he will step down in some way, or I don't know. I don't think he'd be fired. The BBC and Bad Wolf love him. They adore him. I don't think they would allow an embarrassing firing. I think there'd be some sort of agreement made. So, in that case, I'm saying I think it's about 75% chance that actually Russell T Davies will not be in charge for season 3 of Doctor Who. Or if he is, it will be with a lot of other writers, a lot of other directors as a team working with him, and yeah, I think there's only about a 25% chance of that actually happening. So, first of all, Doctor Who, probably about a 75% chance he is actually going to be leaving his role as showrunner for Doctor Who, in my opinion. Star Trek. Now, I am a Trekkie. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. I'm a Trekkie. And Russell T Davies has taken Doctor Who in one direction, but Alex Kurtzman has taken Star Trek in a completely different direction again to what Trekkies are used to. Now, he currently has a contract. His company, Secret Hideout, has a contract with Paramount, but that does actually run out in the summer of 2026. There have been no negotiations currently because Skydance are buying Paramount, and that is going to be going through over the next 6 months or so. So basically, they cannot negotiate anything until Skydance actually takes control. Now, there are a few issues at the moment with the deal going through the regulators in America. We're being told that that is likely to not really go very far, but it might delay Skydance being able to take over the company a little bit. So, let's say the summer of this year. That basically gives the new owners of Paramount 12 months to make a decision on the Skydance deal, negotiate it, and then actually have a plan moving forwards, whatever that decision is. So, what I've always been told is that Skydance basically have 3 options. They can cancel the deal and try to do something else with Star Trek, bring it in-house, do something else. They could try to strike a deal where they would basically buy out Secret Hideout. This is what Warner Bros. Wanted to do. And create Star Trek Studios and bring it in-house that way. Or they could basically give Secret Hideout a new deal. Now, following Section 31, I heard a lot of rumours that Skydance have absolutely no intention of giving Alex Kurtzman a new deal. But that could be just a knee-jerk reaction. Section 31 failed spectacularly, and there was a reaction. Skydance are buying one of the biggest studios in the world, one of the oldest studios in the world, and it is their chance to really stamp their authority on Hollywood. They feel like one of the biggest things that they own, Star Trek, is being flushed down the toilet, is what I'm being told. So, there was an emotional response. But I will always go back to what I was told, going back 12 months or so, that Alex Kurtzman's saviour here is twofold, basically. The thing that might save this contract for him. They have been trying to bring Star Trek back and trying to listen to the fans a little bit and trying to unify fans in lots of ways. That's why we got Picard Season 3. Section 31 is an anomaly, really, in that the last couple of years of Star Trek has been better. Picard Season 1 and 2 wasn't great. Picard Season 3 was good. I even quite liked the final season of Discovery. I don't know what we're going to be getting with Starfleet Academy, but I'm willing to give it a try. Lower Decks was good, and we're probably going to be getting a movie. Prodigy was good, but that's probably over. We still have the opportunity of Legacy. The future is relatively bright if they stop messing it up. I'm actually leaning back towards what I've thought really or the whole way through this process is that Skydance may just give them a short extension. Now, I don't think they'll get quite the same deal they've got currently, whereas Skydance has basically full creative control over Star Trek. I think it'll be a far more even-keeled deal, but I could see them getting to maybe a 3-year deal. Skydance could come in, basically tell them, right, this is what we want, and give Skydance the opportunity to actually do it. I think that is the easiest solution for Skydance, because basically it would allow Star Trek to continue, which still gets good numbers. I mean, Section 31 was a nightmare, but it was still top of the Paramount top 10, and it's number 6 now 2 weeks later. Last time I looked, anyway. So it generated a lot of interest, even though some of that interest was negative. But generally speaking, it does quite well still. I just could see Skydance doing this deal because this way it allows them to concentrate on other things and kick the can down the road a little bit, where it will allow them to just say, look, okay, we'll tell Secret Hideout what we want. We will give them an opportunity under new leadership to actually do that, and then we'll see what it's like in 3 years. That will give us the opportunity to do all the other things that we need to do to actually make Paramount profitable again. They've got a lot of work to do within Paramount, and Star Trek may not be a priority. I actually think it's probably around a 70 or 80% chance that that's what Skydance will end up doing once the emotional reaction of Section 31 finally is relieved and they actually put their business heads back on. Star Wars fans kind of want Kathleen Kennedy to be gone. Now, she currently is the president of Lucasfilm, and her deal actually was extended a couple of years ago. She had a 3-year extension, and that is actually up in the next 3 to 4 months. Now, the last time her contract was done, it was announced roughly 6 months before the contract was actually to conclude that she was getting this extension. We're already well within that time frame, so we're about 3, maybe 4 months away from her contract being done. We're being told that actually it's Q2 that it is going to end, so that's any time really April, May, June. So it seems a little strange that we haven't had some sort of announcement, and at the point of recording we've had nothing. We have sources in and around Hollywood that actually do work in sort of the legal side of things, and they do get to hear stuff, particularly about contracts and things, because these people talk to each other. So we've got reasonable insight into what's going on here. I'm being told it actually looks like she isn't getting a new deal for Lucasfilm, but she is getting something within Disney, and it will be a sidestep within Disney. Apparently the bosses over at Disney, Bob Iger, etc., don't really blame her for a lot of the problems that Star Wars has faced in the last few years. And actually, there have been some quite decent successes. Now, don't get me wrong, things like The Acolyte were just embarrassing for them. There were mixed reviews over the last trilogy movies. There were mixed reviews even for Ashoka, but things like Andor have done quite well, even though they have been incredibly expensive to produce. Mandalorian was actually a bit of a phenomenon, even though the 3rd season was weaker. So there have been successes, there have been weaknesses. The main problem Kathleen Kennedy has got, from what I'm being told, is that they really had tried to get Lucasfilm to not just be a one-trick pony. They basically ordered Kathleen Kennedy a couple of years ago to look, we need Lucasfilm to do a bit more than this. We need different stories, we need something else. Now, they have tried to do that, but none of those projects have ever actually come to fruition. Willow was a disaster. So, that is the main problem Kathleen Kennedy has with the bosses over at Disney, that she hasn't been able to take Lucasfilm to that next level. It's still basically a one-trick pony. It's still just Star Wars. So, I'm being told that somebody within Lucasfilm will be stepping up, and that Kathleen Kennedy will move aside into another role within Disney. That seems to be where we're going. If that is basically what's going to happen, they won't announce it until pretty much it happens. We'll wake up one day and there'll be an announcement, Kathleen Kennedy is gone, and blah 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 is now in charge at Lucasfilm. How likely do I think that is? I think it's actually quite likely. From what I'm being told, it seems like it's about 80 or maybe even 90% likely that that's what's going to happen. At very least, that's what's being discussed and negotiated at the moment, from what I'm being told. I say that a lot, don't I? But it's true. So, look, things can always go sideways. For example, say that whoever they want to bring in is the new president of Lucasfilm. For some reason that falls through, and all of a sudden they're left with no potential new people. They may just go to Kathleen Kennedy, look, we'll give you a 2-year extension, and let's try to spend that 2 years to find something. So look, things can always go a different way. But at the moment, that seems to be what they're planning. So, what are the chances that come the summer of 2026, the fans that really want these people gone will have got what they want? Well, I actually think there's a pretty good chance that Russell T Davies and basically Kathleen Kennedy may be gone. So Star Wars fans and Doctor Who fans may be pleased. I would say that's a very high percentage, 75-80%, something like that. Kurtzman, if I'm honest, my emotions get away from me a little bit with this occasionally, and I do videos on this when I hear rumours about him moving on, and like we kept hearing rumours 18 months ago and being fired, and I actually did a video going, look, that's not how this works, he can't be fired. But at times I've called for it, but I actually think business heads will prevail on this, and I think he probably, and Secret Hideout will probably get an extension. So that's where we're at. Sci-fi. Stressful, innit? But guys, what do you think? Get into the comments and tell me. What do you actually want to happen? And what do you think will happen? I would love to know. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out, and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/scitrek, where most of our new videos do premiere first, and you get to see them without the adverts. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.